You know, as you enter this smaller gallery for the East Tennessee Regional Student Art Exhibition, some of the things you'll immediately notice is the quality of the artwork that you see in this. Again, these are the best in show pieces for the last 20 years. We have a poster that actually talks a little bit about that, and then it has each one of those pieces that was selected by a panel of jurors to be a representative of each one of those. And then we start off with the first piece. This was done by a student from my hometown of Oak Ridge, and this was in 2006, so that was our first Best in Show winner. And then we kind of continue through that. You have different media. This is a combination of a photograph as well as some mixed media pieces that are going together. And then you have a painting as we go into the next one. Again, this is a piece of artwork, not very traditional, but it really causes you to think. I think this really dwells on the aesthetics. That means things like, how does it make you feel when you look at this? There's a lot of power to it. And then we move on to some of these that are more traditional, maybe a father and his child. I think it's rendered very well. And I really love how this is a lot lighter than this darkness back here, and he's holding the kid, and a sense of, you know, pride and fatherhood and all that. I think that was a really neat piece. And then you have pieces like this that, again, I feel like this is more looking at the aesthetics. And you have mixed media. So you have like newspapers and things like that have been collaged. You also have corrugated board. It's been cut. You've got rendering of the hands that are very powerful. You don't even have to see the face to recognize the emotions that are evoked by that. So again, not very traditional, but one of those things that really draw you in and cause you to think about what's happening to this person and how the artist was thinking when he was creating that. I guess this is one of the largest pieces that one of the students did. This was done by, we talked earlier about the street painting festival or the chalk walk in downtown. She actually did one of those pieces, and it was very similar to some of the things you see here. But again, this was created, and this is a self-portrait. Her name is Lauren Darby, and this is several years ago, and she's from Halls High School. And I'm really hopeful that some of these students who created these will attend the opening reception on Tuesday. I think they'll get a kick out of seeing their artwork here. So another portrait. And I think you probably will notice, as you have just, you know, seen some of the pieces up until 2011, one of the themes that most art teachers will concentrate on are portraits. And you can tell that each one of them did a portrait in a slightly different way, more realistic, if you will, and then more interpretive. So that's one of the things as an art teacher we try to concentrate on in our classes. We try to make sure that you're creative and unique with it, not just, you know, doing something that's exactly the way it might look if you were taking a picture of yourself. And then we have pieces that are printmaking. This is an etching. This is where you take a plate and you scratch into the plate with a tool, and then you introduce ink into those areas. These are called intaglios or etchings, and then you can make multiple originals of that. Okay? And then we'll look here. So it's not just confined to two-dimensional pieces. We have some three-dimensional pieces as well. So when you look at this, you go, okay, that's a real boot. Actually, that's a clay boot. It's made out of ceramics, and the student has probably put some different glazes on that, maybe even some red iron oxide, things like that. But again, this is, I guess, photographic realism as a three-dimensional piece. And then when you look over here, I remember the story behind this. So this was one of two girls. They were twins. And one of the girls who entered this was her sister. And her sister decided she would donate her hair to Locks of Love. So she took a picture of this in the process of her doing that. And again, we have a photograph here. We haven't had one up to this point, and that was the Best in Show that year. Alex Vallone did this one, 12th grader, and this was Tennessee High School. And that was in 2014. Now, I said something earlier about whimsy. Okay, this girl, Esther Sitfer, she did this piece, and it's called Trolls. And it's two pieces, this troll and this troll with different color hair. And I followed her currently. She's actually doing a lot of work with the Dogwood Arts and the Dogwood Arts Festival. So if you go to her booth, she's actually got pieces of artwork that she sells. And again, you see the theme of portraits, and then you also see the fact that they have personality to them. And that's one of the things we always stress to our students. Give it some personality. It should be smiling, crying, whatever. I think that's really important. It tells a story that way. Okay? Again, this piece, this is from a Maryville High School student. This is a photograph. Okay? And it's been altered in such a way where it almost looks like a painting, drawing, if you will, but the colors have been enhanced. So there's some photo manipulation in that. And again, I think this was, I will remember this being Grandpa's truck, so you can tell it's an older truck, and it's the interior. So it doesn't have to be the whole truck. I mean, it tells the story by just looking inside this and the old dashboard and everything. Okay? So this, for me, I thought the use of the colors, the use of how it's been divided up, it's almost, like somebody who would do, I guess, an Impressionist piece or maybe a Cubist piece would do this. And this is done by a student at Baylor School. And Baylor is down in the Chattanooga area. And he did this, and if you look closely, you can see that there's like an alleyway or a stream that goes through here, and you have buildings on this side and buildings on this, and he's kind of divided them up in the most simplest forms that you would have there. And I think that's with maybe gouache. It's a type of paint. Yep, I got it right. Now, I love a multimedia piece. The fact that they have lots of different things attached to it. You have three-dimensional pieces. You have things glued to this. You have found objects put in there. You can see those. Again, this is really a cool piece, and it tells a story. This is a mixed media collage. It's Webb School of Knoxville, and it says the butterfly effect. And I think there's a story about the butterfly effect. One does something on one side of the world, and then it influences something on the other side of the world. But this is, again, a very different portrait, but it's really effective. Now we're coming into the COVID years. And I distinctly remember this because when our judges came and we were doing our judging, they all had masks on and all that. And by the way, one of the things I haven't said earlier was a lot of art exhibitions are judged virtually. We look at the pictures on a screen. These are judged by what we have in-house. So we'll bring those to the museum and we'll look at those. And that's great because sometimes you can't really tell what's happening on a screen, but you can if you pick it up and you look at it and you really study it. So this was, again, one of the ones that were done during that time. And you can see, earlier I said we combine visual art and music. Again, you have visual art here, and you also have music. And I love the perspective of this as well. That's great. So my wife and I came over here the other day when we first opened. It was right after Thanksgiving. And she looked at this and she said, now, that's got to be a photograph that's been torn and everything. Well, no, actually, this is not. This is an oil painting. And that's hard to believe sometimes when you see the quality that a young person, again, this was a 12th grader, could accomplish with this. And this would have been okay, but the fact that she manipulated the edges, she tore those edges on both sides, balancing that out, and contrasting some of this rough stuff with this super smooth area here, I think that was something that made it super effective. I'm going to go back to some of the best in show pieces this year, but I'm going to go to somebody who did this in 2023. Naomi Ray Testa, when she was in the 10th grade, she won Best in Show. And this is the piece that she created. This year, one of her pieces is Best in Show as well. So she's going to be back with us receiving her award Tuesday. And again, she's from Roane County High School. Natasha Hudson is her teacher. And this is one of those artists, those once-in-a-lifetime artists that you get in your classroom and you go, God, I can't believe I was so lucky to have somebody who not only was really good, really talented, but I'm assuming very, very much into this. And she probably was an example, or still is an example, for those other students in the classroom. This is last year's Best in Show. Actually, the girl with her whole family came the other day to see this on the opening day of it, and she was really proud, and her whole family's really proud of her. And I asked the family if any of them, dabbled in the arts. Well, none of them really did, but she was really into it. In fact, she's got 2 other pieces in this exhibition this year. But this is really simple. The water's treated really nicely. It's got a lot of emotion to it. And by the way, each one of these pieces that you see, not only did they win Best in Show, but they are pictured on a billboard in downtown Knoxville. And they'll always be done like that. That's one of the things we like to do to promote the arts. And we have the byline that says, support the arts in your schools. Okay?